Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. This is the Prepared Suburbanite. I I have rarely ever done more than one video in a day, and generally try to stick to just a couple, maybe 3 a week. But today really does seem to be quite a day for some news to share and some celebrations to enjoy. Our friends on the Supreme Court have really done it now. It's absolutely amazing. Stick around, I'll get into some detail. So yesterday, the Supreme Court issued a ruling on a postal worker who refused to work on Sundays, and they handed him quite a victory based on religious freedom, which is seems to be a kind of a recurring theme as we look at what's really going on here. So in this particular case, Gerald Groff, a Christian mailman, said the Postal Service should have accommodated his religious beliefs about work on Sundays, and the Supreme Court agreed. Also yesterday, and I think a lot of people have already heard about this one, but that the Supreme Court rejects affirmative action in a ruling on universities, Harvard and the University of North Carolina in particular, that they cannot use race in their admissions decisions. A 6-3 affirmative action. They have decided that using race as a factor in college admissions violates the Constitution's 14th Amendment. And then today, which is, I think, the last day of the Supreme Court's current session, the Supreme Court today rules in favor of a Colorado graphics designer who refused to create a same-sex wedding website. The Supreme Court case 303 Creative, that's the name of the company, versus Ellenis, pitted the First Amendment freedom against LGBTQ discrimination, and the Supreme Court found in favor of religious freedom. And the big one today, I think, is the Supreme Court decision on the student loan debt. The Supreme Court rules against the Biden student loan debt handout. The Biden administration student loan debt plan was estimated to cost over $400 billion. And it just turned out to be that they overstepped their bounds on this, that they didn't have the statutory or constitutional authority to forgive these debts. Now, what's all this really going to mean for us? Well, first we need to celebrate the fact that we have a conservative majority in the Supreme Court, and they're going to take a look at what the Constitution says, what the Constitution outlines, what the roles and responsibilities of the 3 branches of government really are, and they're going to make decisions based on that rather than on personal opinions, on political agendas, all that, for the most part. Got to give Clarence Thomas all the credit in the world for sticking to his guns and making sure that people understood why the affirmative action decision makes a lot of sense, and that it really does undo a whole bunch of evils that have occurred ever since affirmative action went into place. And I can remember the early days of affirmative action and how absolutely confusing it really was for all the people and all the students and the school administrators, and what are we going to do and how are we going to do it? Well, anyway, so time for celebration. We've probably got another couple hours that we can still celebrate and just do, hey, way to go, and thank you, Donald Trump, for making sure that we've got originalists and conservatives on the bench at the Supreme Court. What I think is going to happen over time is that the left is going to react and overreact to all this. They will be searching high and low, every haystack, for whatever needle they can find to make sure that they can get around this, that they can, like they've done with the Second Amendment, just keep passing more and more laws that have to find their way up to the Supreme Court, so that the Supreme Court can finally make a decision on what's the right thing to do pursuant to the law of the land. They will try everything. This whole college admission thing based on race, they'll figure out a way to do that. In fact, I think it's sort of already started. They've deminimized the SAT scores and the ACT scores. And what I suspect is going to happen at a lot of these major universities is that that's just going to go by the wayside, not going to be a consideration for admission to any of the top-notch or even middle-notch universities and colleges around. They will come up with other criteria that will allow them to reach whatever internal quotas they decide they want to deal with. And it's going to take the conservative folks lawsuits and time to challenge each one of those, like they're trying to do in the Second Amendment. Seems like every time we turn around, and I gotta say, Guns and Gadgets is probably the very best website to go to if you're interested in Second Amendment news. That's Guns and Gadgets. He does a terrific job of making sure he's on top of all this activity, and he's doing 2 and 3 and 4 videos a day, just trying to stay ahead of the onslaught of legislation and new laws and all kinds of crazy nonsense that the federal authorities are trying. And he's on top of it, and he'll give you the rhyme, reason, and rationale. We're going to need to be dealing with the same thing as this affirmative action stuff goes on, as religious freedom begins to retake a foothold in this country. We need to be as diligent as we can be, pointing out the craziness that's really going on. I hope that we do take time this afternoon and maybe this weekend to celebrate the independence of this overarching federal government of ours, and maybe we can enjoy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July to you all. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always. And I'll see you on the next video.